Hi everyone. Today our objective or goal is to write a middle main idea where we use transition words to take the reader through the actions of our middle main idea using transition words such as first, next, then, last, or finally. I'm also going to challenge some of you to think about some other words or phrases that we can use to show the transition or movement of our story as it happens. Remember, my narrative topic is all about walking Marley, and when I look at my middle main idea, I really have to show the reader my action of walking Marley. So when I start my my middle main idea about walking Marley, a convention that we're going to begin with is indenting. That's where, even though I have all of that extra space on this line, I'm actually going to drop down and come across to the next line. We call that a drag and sweep. And then we use 2-finger spacing to indent. We show the reader that we're starting a new paragraph. And so what I'm going to say is, instead of first, which is totally fine if you want to use that and that's what you're comfortable with, but I'm walking Marley, so in the beginning. So this is the start or the first part of walking Marley. So in the beginning, and there's that word that shows how this action of walking Marley begins. In the beginning, Marley, and I have to capitalize Marley's name because he is a specific detail. He's the dog I am taking for a walk. Was, we're talking past tense. So I have to say Marley was doing just fine. Meaning he was doing well, he was doing good. So I use a period to end that sentence. And how do I know he was doing just fine? His tail was, what do dogs do when they're happy? They wag. His tail was wagging as he wasn't just walking, he was trotting. So as he trotted, but I'm talking about the past tense. So I'm going to add the ed ending to show that this is something that already happened. As he trotted along the sidewalk. So this is what's happening in the beginning. This was the first part of my story. Now when I want to transition to what happened next, I could use the word next, and that would help my reader understand what action happens after we're doing well. Next, and I'm using a comma right there because I need to continue that thought, just as we got closer to we always walk to this pond, to the pond. So next, just as we got closer to the pond, he, and I can say he at this point because my reader knows the he is Marley, the dog that I'm walking. He didn't just see them, he spotted, meaning very carefully and very quickly, he spotted I'm going to use a phrase, and you might not know what it is, but it was a gaggle, which means a group. And I'm going to use parentheses to help my reader understand that when we're talking about a group of geese, they are called a gaggle. There's your science lesson for the day. So he spotted a gaggle group of geese. So that's what had happened next. So I have that word next. But then there was more action that took place. Then, before I knew it, and I'm going to put a comma right there because I'm extending my thought. Then, before I knew it, Marley, capital M for Marley because that's his name, Marley barked. So that's the sound that dogs make. He also growled, so I can use a comma to make a list of the actions that he did. He barked, growled, and He didn't just run after these geese, he lunged after them, meaning he really went after these geese. Marley barked, growled, and lunged for the geese. End of my complete thought, so I'm going to put a period right there. And then I'm going to continue by using some purposeful dialogue. That means characters that are talking. And so what did I say in response to this? I said, Marley. And in all capital letters, I yelled, stop, with an exclamation point. I'm going to end my purposeful dialogue, and I'm going to show the reader who's saying this. I didn't just say this, I screamed, which means a very loud way of talking because I'm upset my dog is chasing these geese. And now, so I have that word then, finally. This action has to come to a close. What did finally happen? So notice I have that word finally right there. Finally, this didn't end the way that I thought it would. I thought Marley would catch the geese or be the ones to scare the geese off, but that was not the case. Finally, the honking, because that's the sound that geese make, the honking geese chased Marley away by, what did they do? They weren't just opening their wings, they were flapping there. And geese, grown-up geese, have very large wings when they open. So I'm going to say that they're gigantic wings. End of my complete thought. And so I'm going to put a period. So now when I think about my middle main idea, if I showed the reader what happened first, next, then, and finally, I've used transition words like in the beginning, next, then, and finally to show the reader the sequence of events throughout my narrative story. That's your job for today as well. Happy writing, everyone.